today. Thank you for joining Chef Anthony. Back in my test kitchen, getting ready to perform another wonderful and a great and exciting dish. This particular dish is called meatloaf, one of Americans' favorite. Something that I enjoy making, and it's about putting your hands or getting your hands tied into a busy because you want to put some passion behind your work, especially when it relates to your culinary skills that you may have, whether you have much or you don't have much at all. All it requires is for you to have a passion for food, especially knowing that if you're going to eat it, you definitely want to enjoy it. So today we're going to be making meatloaf. It's going to be meatloaf with mashed potatoes and some we're going to add some vegetables to that. But what we're going to do this in a stage, because meatloaf is not something that you just abracadabra and kabam. It happens like that. It takes a couple ingredients that you need to prep and kind of get it ready. First of all, I love using fresh herbs. So in the meatloaf, we're going to be using ground beef. It's up to you if you want to use ground pork or ground turkey. Either which one pleases your appetite or taste, you are more than welcome to go ahead and do that. But you want to have some ready, thought out ground beef, depending on the size of your family, or relatively just if you're just doing it for yourself. And you could use a small pack of ground beef, or you could use, whatever the sizable amount that you think will be sufficient. Then the herbs that I use, I like using mushrooms. With the mushrooms, I cut up the mushrooms into slices, and then I go back over the mushrooms and I dice it up. Also, I like using celery, fresh celery, whereas the same token, I would take the fresh celery and I would dice that up. I would also use fresh thyme because I like the herbs. I like using fresh garlic. And I dice all of those items up because they are going to be a booster for the meatloaf. Okay? In addition to that, I would add in some red pepper. I've taken a liberty. If you want to save you a step, you could go and buy it's called sulfurito blend. It's basically a blend of just onion, peppers, and bell peppers, green and red, already done, pre-chopped, already for you. And I also got some roasted garlic, because I love the essence of the herbs of the garlic, especially that which is already roasted. It will, once it start cultivating everything together, then it actually starts to illuminate in the sense of the taste. So those are the ingredients that I would use. Along with that, I would also add in some fresh cilantro leaves. Now, I've already taken liberty and have placed all of that into the ingredients of the bowl. Okay, the ground beef, the onion, the celery, and the onions, peppers, and then I get you're gonna also need some breadcrumbs. Okay, you're gonna also need some breadcrumbs because the breadcrumbs adds to it, as well as some eggs. Okay, as well as eggs. Now, basically, as I stated, is that you want to put all these ingredients into a bowl, and you want to take your time and you want to knead it. Kneading it meaning that you're crushing everything together and you're rolling it around and kind of getting it all mixed in and blending with the tender use of your hands, because what that does is that you put emotion behind it. You're allowing it to go ahead and uniquely just come together, combining all of the ingredients together. Then if you have this is a baking pan. If you have a baking pan that has probably about 3 inches of depthness. The purpose of this is so that the meatloaf, once it's cooked, that it has an elevation as, you know, as a loaf of a bread. So, and it's called baker's loaf. So this is basically how you're gonna go ahead and get it to that point. Now, it's best that you use food release spray, that you go ahead and you spray the contents of the pan. Purpose of it is so that nothing actually sticks. Secret to doing this right here is to make sure you have a good meatloaf. Once you have put all the blend of the herbs and the egg, you want to take the egg and put it into a bowl with a little bit of water, and you want to whisk it. Wishing it meaning that you want to blend it, you want to whip it as frequent as possible until it becomes completely diluted. Then you're going to add that to the meatloaf mix. When you add that to the meatloaf mix and you work it all into the meat, then you add the breadcrumbs so that it absorbs the liquefied, if there is any liquid and the meat is not entirely loose. But it would have a nice little firmness to it. Then once the pan is sprayed, you want to go ahead and get your meatloaf mix, and you want to kind of slap it into the pan because you want to make sure that it gets into the corners of the pan. Okay, you want to make sure that it gets directly into the corners of the pan. You don't want no ear pockets. Try to avoid as much ear pockets, because when it's cooked and it comes out dynamically correct, it looks absolutely superb. So try to eliminate as much as you can any of the ear pockets. And the way that we're going to go about doing that, as you see, I'm stuffing it, and I'm stuffing the pan, and I'm practically pressing it into the areas where I want to make sure that I have a complete fullness of the pan. Then you will go ahead and you will take the pan and you will tap it down onto a solid countertop, because what that does is that makes sure that it knocks the complete ear pockets out. All right, it eliminates as much as you can ear pockets, and then you practically just kind of smooth it out, just so that you basically get to a point where the meatloaf is practically in the pan, completely flush. All right. Considering the fact that I'm making for a party or for a group of individuals that are here, I've placed several of them already onto the pan. And as you lay this down, you want to make sure that that is flush directly with the pan, because that eliminates every possibility, any means of the ear coming out. Okay, we're going to set it like this. We set the oven already at 350. We're going to go ahead and set it. We're going to leave that. We're going to set that into the oven. We're going to add the last one in there. Notice that I'm using a wax sheet because I don't want anything to stick to the pan. You could spray it if you want to. If you don't feel like, that's quite all right. I want to make sure all around that I don't have no stickage. set that into the oven at 350, and we're gonna allow that to go ahead and basically cook. And we're gonna, in about another 40 minutes, we're gonna come back and we're gonna remove the pan from the meatloaf. We're gonna separate it, and then we're gonna allow that to cool, because that's gonna have to go back into the oven to have the final or the finishing touches. When it's in the pan, it's gonna be sweating. So once the cover is removed, then it dynamically crosses the outside to make it more perfect. So in the next 45 minutes, we'll definitely come back to that, and we're gonna see what will be the next stage or the next step to completing a meatloaf.